You're a first-time G Wagon buyer. You're not quite sure what everything does or how everything works or even how it's supposed to work. That's what this video is about. You're at that point in your life where you want one of these in your driveway and you have a lot of questions. Let's get them answered, shall we? For example purposes, we have one of our recent builds here. This is actually a 2015 G550 naturally aspirated truck, which we've subtly modified. We've got our rock sliders on here. We've got the stock plus suspension system that with our Fox 2.0's progressive springs, and we've blacked out the bull bar and the front grille just to make it aesthetically interesting for this potential customer here. So one of the things that's been brought to our attention is there's a lot of people getting into these trucks because they love the story, they love what a G Wagon represents and what it can do for them and how it goes down the road, but there's questions about functionality. Well, let's answer some of those questions. So starting on the exterior of the truck, people always say, hey, this is not a bull bar, this is a brush bar. This comes factory on just about every one of these. And on the 550s, these are actually meant to be removed by yourself if you want to. They have quarter turn fasteners in the back of this, and the wrench is in the glove box. And you can pull these off, you basically can slide them down, and you can pull it off, put it in your garage if you don't want it. But believe it or not, back in the day, these were actually an option on early 460s as a hunting option. In other words, if you're out hunting boar or something like that and you needed to get your kill back home, these were meant to be folded down and there's a wire rope that held everything and you put your animal on it and drive it home. Kind of fascinating. It pays homage, it pays a piece of history, and these are actually highly functional. They will ward off a lot of debris from hitting your G Wagon. Other things, we chose this model on purpose because this is one of the most popular models we see, are the front lights. The 13 through the 18 model year G Wagons all have this strip of LED lights down here. And people ask us, can they be turned off? The answer is no. These are what's known as daytime running lights. And in certain parts of the US, they were mandated as they have to happen for all vehicles sold after a certain model year. So every G Wagon from 13 on has a daytime running light that's an LED. Now you know. And just to answer that question, no, you can't turn them off. It's illegal in some states. That's why we don't do it. Turn signals up front. When it's dark out and you do have your lights on, you're going to notice that your front fog lights will illuminate separately. It's one of those little things. Again, people ask us, hey, I have one fog light working and not the other one. It has to do with the angle of the steering wheel and if you're turning in your driveway. The purpose of that is if you're turning into your driveway late at night and it's dark outside and you don't have any ambient lighting, when you turn your wheel to the right, it will illuminate the right fog light in addition to give you some additional visibility as you're going up your driveway. Pretty snazzy. It works pretty neat. I like it. The nice part about this is when we do an aftermarket bumper with lights, we can tie that into the aftermarket lights on your bumper as well and make this system fully functional. Aside from that, just like every other G Wagon out there, they all have these side vents on the fenders. This is the actual air intake, meaning that you can go through floodwaters up to here before you suck in water. So yes, if you live in a hurricane area, you can rescue everybody. Mainly, you can pull all the Toyotas and Jeeps out of the mud, and that's what we buy these things for, right? Come on. So, this is a great example. This truck is complete. The client will be coming in town to pick it up. So this is also one of the most popular modifications we do to these trucks with our rock sliders, the stock height suspension system. By the way, these are all powder coated. It's a texture black. It's really robust stuff. And it's overall a very clean and neat looking truck. The back of these trucks, there's not really a whole lot that goes on back here, aside from you still have the swing door that came out in the 70s. There's a lot of cargo space back here. Some trucks have these, some trucks don't. You do have a tonneau cargo cover that goes over the back. If you get in a truck that doesn't have those, you can usually still get these through Mercedes. They're getting harder and harder to find though. But in the back, you have a lot of cargo space. You have a lot of cargo, simple cargo door stuff. Nothing really special back here, aside from the cargo net. That's all you have. One other thing that you do want to keep in mind though is the later trucks do have a built-in inverter. So if you're out camping, you do have a 110 outlet to your availability, and that is automatic. So if you are out somewhere and you need to plug in your hair dryer or your coffee maker or your blender or whatever it is you need, you can plug it in. This came standard on the 13 through 18 model trucks. They're all there. It's a pretty handy feature. Moving on to the back seat. All right, so here we are in the back seat of the truck. The number one question people ask us is, what do you do for cup holders? And if you have a water bottle like this, it's not going to fit up front. But they do give you two handy dandy cup holders back here. Enough said. Now, The other important question is, what happens if you get a flat tire? Where's your spare tire stuff? It's in the middle here. So first thing you want to do is, you got these handy floor mats, you're going to flip them up like so, and this piece in the middle pops up. And as you see, we have your handy dandy toolkit, which has your wrench, your lug wrench, and your the jack wrench to make everything function. It's all kept here in the center next to the battery. Now underneath this panel is your main battery and then your auxiliary battery. You're not going to need to get into that unless you have a bigger issue going on there. But that's where your tools are hidden. Now, the next part of the equation is, where do they hide the jack in these trucks? Well, I'm going to show you. It's underneath this small seat here. And so what you want to do first is you want to move this seat up just a little bit. So that's why we have this door open. You scoot it forward just a hair. After you do that, you're going to want to fold down this back seat. Now the back seat is what's known as a 60-40 split. So you're going to fold it down, and then there's another lever back here. You pull it up and you rock the whole thing forward. Now the cool part about this, you've got this cool little smuggler's box. There's your jack. For your really sneaky folks, you can pull it out and put a 6-pack of yogurt or whatever you want in there. Now we know. But that's where the jack is, that's where the tools are at, and that's how to get to it. So if you get a flat tire, you know where the spare is at. It's on the back door. Don't make me show you how to do that one. This other seat does also move forward, but underneath this is a closed off compartment with a subwoofer. You're not going to need to get in there. There's nothing in there other than an annoying speaker. Anyway, that's where it's at. Now, in the back seat, you're going to notice your back here, and you see these funky little vents here. These are not for cooling your knees, contrary to popular belief. It does ventilate a little bit of air, but really what that is that is meant to be the air intake for the ventilated seats. So both the front seats are heated and cooled, and this just offers an additional path for airflow to go in there. If you do find yourself sitting in the back, you will notice a little bit of airflow, but not a whole lot. It's just one of those things that now you know where it's at. Now the back seats on these trucks are heated, and on the door, you've got your heated spot here. So there's not a ton of space back here. If you're a full-size adult, I'm 6 foot, now the seat's scooted up a little bit. It is a little on the snug side, but it's not uncomfortable to be. But as with any other vehicle, you know, the Germans thought of everything. They have ashtrays for the kids. And other than that, it's just your normal G Wagon. All right, so up front, you've got one singular cup holder right there. And I'm willing to bet that was installed to the much chagrin of the Mercedes engineers. They said, the stupid Americans, they want their cup holders. Yeah, I know. That's all we got, guys. So point is, drink your coffee before you get in your G Wagon, because you ain't got no place to put it. Aside from that, you've got your usual stuff. You've got your cigarette lighter here, which we all put our USB adapters in there to run all of our accessories and phones. Popular thing that most people want to do is a command upgrade, which is basically a larger screen that's touch screen that has wireless CarPlay and wireless Android audio. It's a great upgrade because it drastically increases your usability of your navigation system and allows you to, for lack of better words, be completely hands-free. And you get the touch option, which allows you to kind of speak and tell it where you want to go. So that's kind of cool. With that, where do you put your phone? That's the other part of the equation. You can put it in the glove box or the center console, which is a neat option. You can put it in the glove box, but there's no space in there. So there's a couple companies that make RAM mounts that will stick your phone here or up on the glass. I would advise keeping it down here because you don't want to have it obstructing your view. But those are some options out there. We're going to come out with one here shortly and post that up as well. But just want to show that. Now, the other thing that's come to my attention is there are folks that have a hard time adjusting the mirrors because nobody explains it to them, and that's sad. So we've got our giant panel of buttons over here that adjust your mirrors. So as silly as it is, this little touch panel has confused a lot of people. So just to clarify, if you want to move this mirror, you have to hit this button first and then adjust this up, down, side to side. I will show an example here. So you can simply just turn the key to on and you hit, I want to move my driver's side mirror. It lights up and then it moves the mirror accordingly. Now, if you want to move the passenger side mirror, you hit the passenger button, it lights up and it moves your passenger mirror accordingly. Again, it seems stupid now that, or stupid and simple now that I'm explaining it, but until someone's explained it to you, you've actually messed with it, it's one of those things like, what? Nothing's working. So this is just to clarify that issue. Also, if you want to fold your mirrors in, if you're driving across the narrow drawbridge to get to, you know, Princess Peach's castle, you fold those in so you can drive across the drawbridge and then fold them back out when you get inside the compound. Pretty slick. And if you have annoying kids in the back seat to keep messing with your windows, you hit the window lock button. Pretty simple. Now, on the status of this door, we're going to open it up here and look at some of this stuff on the inside. You've got your normal door lock buttons and your seat buttons. So unlike every other vehicle in the world where all this is either on the seat or on the center console, Mercedes stuck everything on the door. So door lock, seat, memory, usual stuff. There's nothing to explain here. Back is back, forward's forward, and leaning up and all that jazz. So pretty straightforward from there. Lights on this side, leave it as auto. They work great. The automatic light sensor that's up in the glass back behind here works amazing. So just leave it on auto unless you really want to annoy people and just turn them on all the time. Front fog light, rear fog light illumination. Yes, this does have a rear fog light. And let's touch on that because some people say, hey, I got my G Wagon from you and we've got a problem. We've got a red light and we've only got one reverse light. Can you fix it? And I'm like, well, actually it came like that from the factory. I'm going to show you. Over in the EU, you only needed one reverse light, but you also need one European fog light. Over there, apparently it gets foggy and you turn on your rear fog light to illuminate it brighter down low. So if someone's racing up behind you, they're not going to run into you if they see the bright illuminated red light. Now we know. So yes, you only have one rear reverse light. And if this isn't bright enough for you, get in touch with us. We actually have a solution where we put a Baja Designs S2 Pro back here with our aluminum mount. It's pretty slick. It's really bright, by the way. But just so you know, it is supposed to be like this. And that's controlled via these two buttons right here, just to clarify. So some of the other features that people are going to notice that they get are your heated steering wheel for those really cold days. For those of you in California or Arizona, you probably will never use this function, but the heated steering wheel is nice. Obviously, this makes your wheel go up and down, simple as that. And then this is your cruise control stock. The layout of this is kind of funky if you're not used to it. The first couple times you drive it, you're going to use this as your turn signal stock, and it's going to do all sorts of crazy stuff. So just get used to it. Turn signal's up here, cruise control's down here. It is adaptive cruise control, meaning it has an optical eye up in the front bumper. So if you're cruised along at 80 miles an hour and you run up on the old geezer going 20 miles an hour, it's going to slow itself down so you don't run it into the back of them. Pretty slick. It works pretty good. Just don't drive that fast. What else? You get flappy paddles for the steering wheel. That part is really nice. If you're coming down a mountain pass, definitely advise using these. One of the cool things about this truck though is, obviously we live in Colorado and we drive in the mountains a lot. So if you want to save your brakes and you're cruising down, just downshift it a couple times till the engine's turning 3, 4, or 5,000 RPM. And then when you need to speed up again, instead of just trying to click it back up, you just push the shifter back down and then drive and you're going again. It's pretty simple and it just does it automatically. It's a nice way. They put a lot of tech into this and they put a lot of thought to make sure everything works seamlessly. And it's just going to take a little bit of time and practice to understand how everything works to your advantage. So there's no wrong answer there. Again, this is really just meant to familiarize yourself. If you're new to this world and aren't quite sure what everything does, this ideally will arm you with enough knowledge when you go in to purchase one to kind of look, touch, and feel everything like, this works, this is what it does. Magnificent. Let's go for a drive and show you how to work the diff locks. Okay, so now we're going to talk about differential locks and how to use them. Right now we're in high range and you'll notice I hit these diff lock buttons and nothing happens. It's because I'm in high range. In this particular era of G Wagon, the 2013 through 18, they programmed it such that whenever you're in high range, you have zero functionality of diff locks. Now, to get it in a low range, that's what we're going to talk about now so you can use your diff locks. So step one, you want to be rolling. Right now we're going about 5-7 miles an hour. This is a great place to practice. And what I want you to do is no foot on the pedal, just push this up gently. Now I'm in neutral. And practice this a couple times. Now I'm in drive, I'm in neutral. Drive and neutral. This is important for you to practice on an open parking lot so you can become familiar with how to do this, because trying to do it on the fly when you're panicked with everything else going on, it usually doesn't fare well. And there's detents in here that'll stop you. So again, I'm going to turn around. We're going to put it in low range. So again, we're going to be rolling the entire time. We're never going to stop. So right now we're rolling, we're in neutral, and there's a low range button. While we're rolling in neutral, I hit the low range button, I feel it shift, and now I push it back to drive. Now I am on low range and we have the low range activated on the dash. Now at this point in time, now I can activate my diff locks. 1, 2, and 3. Now these have to be activated in sequence. And the yellow means it's energized, red means it's locked. Now I'm on pavement and everything is turning at very similar speed, so they're likely not gonna play nice for me right now until I go around the corner. But let's see here. I gotta unlock it so I can go around this corner here. The center one is really cantankerous on just about every G Wagon. They just don't want to unlock until you throw it in reverse. There it goes. So let's try it again here. So we're in drive, and very rarely do they lock when you're going straight. They always do it when you're turning because it allows the gears to turn at a slightly different angle and mesh. So let's give it a shot here. This is annoying. There's one. Two. And right now, with the two of them that are locked, it's very difficult to steer. I can feel it skitching around it. I know it says never use your differential locks on pavement. You can, just be careful. It's going to make a lot of skitching sounds. Let's see, here we go. Okay, contrary to popular belief, flappy paddles, they're not meant for more power. This truck has them. A lot of the G550s and 63s have them. We have them on the side of the steering wheel. If you're in drive and you want to use them, you can. You just hit them and it will, like right now I'm in first, hit them in second, third, you can shift it manually if you want. And it'll stay in that gear for a predetermined amount of time. I think it has a timer, it counts down after 30 or 60 seconds at one speed at a certain throttle. Now, if you find yourself doing this going down a hill and you want to go back to resuming normal transmission function, all you do is simply pull down on the shifter while you're moving and it goes back to drive. It'll resume shifting itself. But at any time, if you want to take control and shift it yourself, you don't have to touch anything other than the paddle and it will automatically shift it down or shift it up based on what the command is. Pretty slick. It works pretty well. So here I'm in first, second, third, I'm light throttle, maybe 20%. Fourth gear already, turning all of 1500 RPM, and then put it in drive, and now it shifts normally. This is a great feature if you're coming down a mountain grade and you want to save your brakes and not burn them up. This is where it's not uncommon. You're gonna want to downshift and use your engine RPM for braking. Now, the proper RPM to use for this. You can go as high as, it's not uncommon to come down the mountain and be turning almost 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. This is a dual overhead cam motor, they're timing chains, but there's been times I've come down I-70 in mine turning 4,500 to 5,000 RPM and not have to touch the brakes at all. I'm not saying you need to do that, but they're capable of doing that. It doesn't really hurt the motor. You're using the motor just for engine braking. It's fine, it doesn't do anything. And then when you're done, just put it in drive and it upshifts and away you go. So it's a great way to save your brakes. Trust me, it works great, so use that. The other thing, when you're shifting this, you have this handy button here that says E, S, and M. E is economy, S is for sport, and M is for manual, if you're gonna take full control of it. If you have it manual, then you have to shift it manually or else. In other words, if you come to a stop, it will go down to 1, but it won't upshift until you start hitting the paddles. So kind of a cool function they put there. Then you just hit it again, put it back to economy, and it shifts just like every other pedestrian G Wagon. So, why we're on the topic of looking at stuff in the truck. The sunroof. It has two functions. Yes, it goes all the way back. So if you're a middle-aged male and you're losing hair, keep it shut. Otherwise you're gonna get sunburn. And it should shut and close quickly and efficiently. Keep an eye out for leaks around here. The headliner will get stained. Now, as a secondary function where it goes up. And this is to evacuate smells. Again, cue the stinky kids in the back seat. It gets a smell right out. It's pretty handy. You pull it down, it shuts the sunroof. This button here shuts off all your interior lights. So if you're doing nefarious activities and you don't want anybody to see, you just do that and you can open doors and keep all the lights off. That turns all the lights on. This is your map light and this is for your overall dome light. Okay, so the other thing you may notice is you've got this SOS Mercedes wrench and the information system. Back in the day, this was occupied over the 3G network, and if you were in an accident or you need help somewhere, you could hit one of these buttons and somebody would actually come over the speakers and say, Mercedes Embrace, can we help you? that function is no longer available because those 3G networks that it communicates over is no longer functioning. So all these are null and void. So our fix for this is we're gonna put a NOS button here. SOS, NOS, same thing. We'll put a giant NOS button on the back. So for your AMG people, it's an instant 150 shot of NOS. It's gonna be glorious. I'm just kidding, don't do that. Okay, this is the last bit, I promise, center console stuff. So you notice we got the diff locks here, we got our vents there. The HVAC system is going because it's 82 degrees outside. My cameraman will melt at anything over 62. The HVAC system is borrowed from the C-Class, but it is very effective and very efficient. It's simple. You just click the temperature, hit auto, and away you go. Defroster if you really want to get crazy and all that stuff. Now, you've got this bank of center buttons here. You've got a seat heater, you've got a seat ventilator. You can probably run them both at the same time if you're really ambitious. I don't know why. You've got this button here which you can turn off your Parktronic system. So if you're driving through a field with high weeds, this will go nuts. So typically I like to turn that off so it doesn't just keep beeping at you. You've got your flashers, and then you've got your skid control or your ABS traction control. It doesn't really turn the system off, it just dumbs it down a little bit so it's less aggressive. Haven't really figured a way to completely shut that off yet. Now, aside from that, you've got all these buttons here. Whenever you do a navigation upgrade or a command system upgrade, they all come null and void. So they're there for show is what I'm trying to say. Your on and off, your volume, and your two buttons here, you still use those for skipping forward and back. And your center button here, which is still fully functioning as well. It has the home button in the back and all that fun stuff. So you're gonna use this, but all the rest of them, just ignore them. So that's really it. You've got your manual park brake, you've got your seat bolstering, and what do we call this? The pneumatic system for your seats. And this is the thing that breaks on most of these trucks. The switches usually stays put, but what happens is the pneumatic line from here to the pump will get chafed and rupture and leak over time. So we fixed a lot of these. I think the last week we fixed 3 of them alone. It's a simple fix, but the system works pretty darn good. I'm 6 foot, about 200 pounds. I'm not a big dude, but when this thing is fully squeezed up, it squeezes you really tight. Halfway is as close as I can go on it. So it does change the way the seat feels. And it's the same for AMG or non-AMG. It's just the AMG is a little bit more bolstered. So keep that in the back of your mind. Aside from that, that's a pretty good rundown of everything that's functional on a G Wagon. Oh, and I forgot, you got your garage door opening buttons here on the bottom side of the mirror. Anyway, that's about it. So hopefully this answers a lot of your questions. If you're new to a G Wagon and just want to know what everything does and have a better understanding of how to work it and how it functions, ideally, we hope this video was for you and it helps answer a few of those questions so you can make a more informed purchase. And when you are test driving them, you know what everything does and can test it out and hit all the buttons yourself. So, Joe Gocher, Alliance Auto Care, nothing but G's. Thanks for watching and look forward to hearing from you about your next purchase.